Tell me about that video, how you guys got involved with that. What was some of the thoughts behind?
Yeah, so that video was recorded on Orcas Island by our really dear good friends Aaron and Emily Bennett. Sorry about that. They kind of took us into the forest, and everything unfolded naturally just with what was on the pathway around us.
What is the instrument, Mas, that you're playing?
It's a handpan, or a lot of people know it as a hong drum. Technically, a hong drum is from Switzerland, but that one's not. So it's a handpan.
Hey everybody, welcome to SAMA, Seattle Circuit Music and Art. Happy 2021. If you're checking us out for the first time, my name is Darek Mazzone. Thanks for being here. We are in Seattle. We're in the United States. We are a young part of the United States. And so we have access to some old growth forests. We're surrounded by mountains. We're right on the water. And so there is a energy that really comes from being here. And I really enjoy the music that comes out of here. You might think of, Seattle music. It's got a powerful reputation. Different genres and different movements have come out of here. But there's also a sacred tradition of music tied to the natural landscape and the story that we can learn from the natural landscape. One of the bands is called Yaima, and it's a duo. It's Mas and Pepper. They've been doing this for a while, and they combine really interesting instrumentation from all over the world, powerful evocative vocals, and a message of hope and love and openness and acceptance. I want to thank Yaima for being here. Mas, Pepper, thanks for being part of SAMA today.
Be here.
Thanks for having us.
What is the intention of your music? There's definitely a tone and an energy. There's not a lot of ego.
I guess fundamentally, bringing oneself back to nature or oneself back to yourself. Also bringing the listeners to a meditative space where they can reflect.
Last week we had a band from the Ukraine and Poland speaking about these traditional pieces, sacred pieces that tie those communities to nature and then therefore to cycles and then cycles of their lives. Is this something that you guys are trying to create with your music here right now?
I'd say that's what we're trying to do. We focus each album that we create on an element, so it gives us kind of a drive and a purpose in creating the music. So the first one we made together was Mapudungun, which is all about water. And then the second one, Ovo, is all about air. And then the third one, Antidote, is fire. And currently we're working on the fourth one, which is earth. Yeah, this song was pretty magical. This germinated while we were traveling in Hungary, and it was our first night like international tour. And we got invited to go out to Budapest, and it just began. It began there, and it began through the people that we were invited into their home and into their life, and they took us on these journeys around their country and the things they loved, and they showed us the things they loved. And this song is actually, it's a love song for the people there, and it's for two kind of battling sides of their community to come together and see that they're one through time.
How'd you guys get into music? What was the thing that made you feel like, hey, I want to do this?
Well, for me, growing up in Okinawa, I was surrounded by the Okinawan music, and I think that is what initially inspired me to learn or want to learn like cultural music and the spirit in it. And I didn't really grasp it growing up, but when I left and then came back, I realized how important that was to me. And so I think one of my joys in life is collecting world instruments and just finding my own spirit within that instrument.
What about you, Pepper? Why music?
Similar, actually, like small town, but in Lewisburg, West Virginia. The kind of gatherings that happen there are just jams. And that became a very normal, natural thing where you just show up and you bring your guitar and you bring your mandolin. And even if you don't know how to play it, you know, someone there at the campfire knows how to play it and teaches you all the chords. And that becomes how you hang out. And I have to credit my grandma also, my grandma Proud, Jean Proud. Her whole entryway of her house was a room full of instruments, just every single instrument you could think of she had. And we'd go there for a couple weeks in the summer and get to hang out with grandma, and she just kind of put us in the music room, me and my sister. Yeah.
So it's heritage. That's beautiful on both fronts. That's wonderful. How did you guys find each other?
Tea.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we were having tea.
We had a lot of gatherings before COVID. And, you know, it's pretty common to have like a tea setup where it's like kind of a ceremony setting, and we just like sat down next to each other and looked at each other and we're like, I think I know you.
Okay.
But I think we both had such a deep love of music and desire to step into that path and step into the world of creation and just being so different. We had a lot to offer each other.
Seattle and music are synonymous, and often that music is dark, or it's like, or you know, whatever. You guys are creating very internal, transcendent, like trying to I keep going back to this, and it's probably simplistic. It's not ego driven. You know, we all have egos, but it's not like you're out there, look at my ego. It's there's a you're trying to connect with you know, can't even say like with your audience, because I've seen you live. The thing that I liked about you created a zone. You created like a thing where people kind of fall in love with each other, and they're in a space, they're moving, and it's not like ego, me. It's yes, you're playing, you're musicians. Watch the technique, but you can move, you can flow. Am I on base here?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Yaima was definitely born from our community here originally, and I think the common ground was like we wanted to express and connect through the medicine of the music.
I was just gonna say our favorite experience with the music is when people are not looking at us and they're like in their own journey, and they're closing their eyes and putting their hands on their heart and going somewhere. That's our favorite experience. We don't want the attention. We'd rather the attention be internal. Yeah, for sure.
We like the stage dark.
Yeah, we like
I get it. But people do love you, like, you know, as we can see. This is a fascinating story, you know, from West Virginia, Okinawa, to creating this kind of music in Seattle. There's a journey there. There's an interesting story.
The ages rippled out these dreams. The allocated
when I was doing my radio show at KXP today, I kind of like, I needed to get some energy out, in light of what happened. And there's a band called Alien Hardware. They're a Maori metal band. And it's like the haka with metal. It just worked. It was like perfect. Everybody was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I need to hear, because it's got that like, but then it went away. And then it needed to be filled with something. And your music and your intention kind of fills that space, like where, you're not going to be like this the whole time. You're dead. You're not going to be angry the whole time, as unfortunately as we're seeing in this country, at least a chunk of the population is. So how do you get to that place where you have reciprocity, you're open, you just don't look at the world from your perspective of kind of like opening it up, and you have a nice quality to be able to do that sonically around that space. So well done.
Thank you.
So you're creating music. You released Ceremonial recently, and now you're working on a new record, and we just said that it's a 3-part record. Tell me more about this.
We've been devoting each album to an element, and now we've arrived to Earth. And Earth it felt like all of them combined, kind of an accumulation of the study that we've been in. With this particular way that we're going through life now and presenting our music, we have a unique opportunity to kind of share a little bit at a time. So that's why we want to kind of do it in 3 parts. There's an overarching story, which is that everything in the universe is everything in the universe, and the Earth is part of that. And the first part of the story begins with the nuclear energy, the nuclear interaction between protons and neutrons and electrons, and how that interaction is all matter, is everything that we see and everything that we know and everything that we've known as human beings. Then zooming out from that, part 2 is our experience as human beings. What are we here to do? What is our purpose? And a lot of times we get sucked into the roles and the realms of whatever the story is weaving for us, and zooming out a little bit or zooming in might help our perspective shift. So that's kind of where we're going with the story, and then further that story into the 3rd part, zooming further out and seeing how the Earth is part of a system, and not only just by itself. It's not a solitary creature. It's existing within this dynamic relationship with our sun and the solar system, and perhaps the binary star, and things that we're just learning about now.
That's beautiful. You're from Okinawa, and you're from West Virginia. Now you live in Seattle. And I'm going to go back to where I was in the beginning, and that is the connection to nature, because it's a new place, it's a new part of the world for you, and you're creating music which is a reflection of that place where you are right now, and its proximity to nature, which is very different than in most other places. So you're creating new music for this space. So these are your songs, and stop me if you think I'm off base, but these are songs for, when I was listening to, like, for people that are here right now, to kind of connect them with that, and not like the Ukrainian village women singing about the harvest, because you're not harvesting, not yet at least, but it is music that kind of like that helps to connect you with what's going on around you. If you're open to it, if you go to the beach and you're just like staring at people and not the water, you're kind of missing the point. And if you're like in the forest and you're staring at your screen, you're missing the point. And sometimes music, vibrations, this thing that we're working with opens up and allows that to happen. So I don't mean to suddenly put you in this place where like you're the new thing, but there's something in this sonic quality that does open things up a bit more in a way. Is this what you're intending? Am I just wrong? But I don't think I am. Was this some of the things that you're working with when you're making this stuff in the process?
Yeah, definitely. I would say a lot of times the foundation of the song comes from us just sitting together with an instrument and dropping into the lay of the land of the music, just like feeling the energy of the land and letting whatever happens. And that's usually the foundation of a lot of our songs, I would say.
Yeah, and a direct reflection of the people here, and not only the land and the nature, because what's going on here is all very new. The mountains are very new. The energy here feels young compared to other parts of the world that we've both been in, and it seems like the culture here is also very young. It's exciting because it's kind of the forefront of where we can go and what might be possible and what else is being dreamed and breathed to life here.
Yeah.
This city is very special, and it holds a lot of keys for the future, I think. And being able to sit with the nature and just what's been born here already, and then what we've been able to dream together, for this community. Honestly, this is all for the people here. And in order to gather and just get back together and see each other. And that's the part that we're both missing so much, is like seeing people tapping into this with us and feeling, it's frequency, sharing the frequency.
Perfect. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your music. Thank you for continuing to create. Please stay healthy. You're doing really good work. Continue. And thank you for sharing your time.
Thank you, Darek.
Peace, be well, love the sacred. From Yaima.